Right. So first and foremost, I know who you are, but I don't, maybe not everybody watching knows who you are. So, could you tell us your name? Tell us what you do?
Okay, so my name is Jenille Brown. Online, I'm known as Roxanne. I'm an animator and character designer who lives and works in Jamaica. That's
Awesome. Awesome. And I've always been curious, how did you get the Roxanne name? Is that your middle name?
yeah. It's not
Okay.
spelled like that, but that's how it. But that's such a stupid way to spell that name. But I was like a teenager, and I just never changed it.
Totally understand. Cool. So, I read an article where it said you're a self-taught animator. Are you also self-taught in illustration as well?
Um, Yeah, I'm definitely a self-taught animator. The thing about illustration is like I learned how to draw very early. As in
Hmm.
I can say that I got good at drawing for my age very early because I went to a high school where they had like a really good art program, and the art teacher was the one who was my first year of high school was the first year of the art program there. So
Oh,
he would,
really?
yeah, so I got the teacher that was pioneering all of that stuff, and he was very
Nice.
encouraging for you to like just try
Yeah.
stuff on your own. And my family was always supportive, and I just happened to be in like
Nice.
this really good batch of artists that was just motivated to do their own thing. I don't know how I got so lucky, honestly. So
That's
I
awesome.
so I picked up on like the hand-eye coordination and the figure drawing and all that stuff very early, like early in high school.
Mhm.
So by the time I
Which
got to hmm,
which high school was that?
Arden,
Arden. Okay, okay. Arden
yeah,
is a very talented, creative school on a whole.
yeah, like they keep advertising that school as like an academic school, but it's an art school. Like I don't know
Mhm.
why they're fooling
It
themselves.
is.
They're
Like
like
literally the best actors from Jamaica come from Arden, no?
I remember outside the art room we had these water tanks, and the water
Hmm.
tanks were for the science labs, but the science labs were on the other side of the school, and the art room
Okay.
did not always get water, and they're right
Uh,
outside our window. And I'm just like, this is rubbish because all the art students, like music, dancing, drama, visual arts,
yeah.
drumming, everything that had to do with arts at Arden was so like self-directed and so good. Like
Hmm.
we never ever sounded like a school anything. We always sounded like a professional team. Whichever field it was, we always sounded
Right.
professional. And like we have such good artists in this school, and they're trying so hard for the sciences and the academics,
Hmm.
and so much so that we can't get the water that's right outside our window. And like
That
that's so
is
dumb.
interesting. That is so interesting. Like that right there demonstrates what they view as a priority.
No, but that's the thing
Like,
though. I think the students knew that
hmm.
like if you're doing arts, you kind of just have to make it work on your own. And we had very
Wow.
good arts programs. And it's not like we didn't have academics because we did have very good like academic students there. We did have like a
Hmm.
lot of achievements in those areas, but really, I think arts was our strength. But anyway, enough about art.
Hmm.
So
Yeah, yeah.
I got
No,
out.
well,
I
I
got
mean,
out.
I'm glad you brought. Sorry, I know I was saying I'm glad you brought up the thing about your art teacher, especially that it was the year that he was pioneering it, because that means you got all of his passion and energy, before he probably got jaded.
Yeah, he got
Um,
tired after we left. He got tired about like 2 or 3 years after we left.
yeah, trust me, the high school system can do that to you. Believe me. I spent 3 months in it and I'm still not recovered. So, but anyway, continue this story.
So yeah, after high school, so by the time I left high school, I had like solid drawing ability for my age, which was like 19. So when I got to Edna, they didn't have to teach me how to draw. I already knew how to do that.
Mm,
What they needed to do was teach me gestures because I didn't know how to do gestures yet. And
mm,
I got better at the hand-eye coordination thing. So no, I didn't teach myself illustration, like the skill of
okay.
illustration as Edna taught it to me, but they also
Mm,
didn't teach me how to draw. And being
mm,
able to teach myself arts, like just learn on my own, like all that practice I had during high school really came into play when I was teaching myself animation.
okay.
So I already
Okay.
had the skill of learning on my own.
So, all right, before animation came into your mind, what did you think you were going to be?
Like an environmentalist or something.
An environmentalist? We jump from drawing to environmentalist.
Okay, but here's the thing, right? So
Mhm.
I watched Princess Mononoke when I was like 4. And I did not remember the movie at all. I
Oh,
don't
really?
I didn't remember it until like my first year of college when I was rewatching
Yeah,
all the Ghibli movies. And I was like, wait, like the Kodama, like the little white spirits that
yeah.
yeah, like I remember that scene where they were all up in the trees and they were waiting on the
Mhm.
forest. That scene stuck with me. I'm like, how is it
Yeah.
that I don't remember the war, the giant wolves, like none of that magic stuff?
You were probably traumatized. I mean, let's face it, that cartoon's a little scary.
I think there are scarier movies than that movie, and we'll get to that one later. But
Okay.
so yeah, that scene with the Kodama, and there was another scene where the main character Ashitaka, he was dying, and
Hmm.
San, the girl, she brought him to this is a floating island in the center of the forest, and she cut off a piece of plant and she stuck it over his head in the ground, and then she left him there, and the forest spirit came, and you know when the
Oh,
forest
yeah.
spirit steps, like everything like blooms and then dies.
Right. Yeah.
So that scene where like the plant was withering over his head while the forest spirit was looking at him, that stuck with me. Those two things. And I think those are the two things that drove me in the direction of environmentalists. Because I was just like, plants are cool. And then my mom was into planting and stuff. So yeah.
That's fascinating how your mind works. Like, because the way you describe that, I'm just like, how did that connect to environmental? It's like, but that's pretty cool. So, all right. So, what changed? Like, did you actually try to pursue that, or that just never manifest beyond a wish?
It just never manifested beyond the witch. Because
Okay.
I had that idea from very young, very, very young.
Mhm.
And I went through prep school with it, and then my peers were talking about like some CSI stuff. What's the word? Like is
Forensics.
yes, like forensics.
Mhm.
I'm like, yo, that stuff sounds cool, but nothing like I want to do. And then I got to high school and I realized that art was going to be it, and I could have done dancing, but I didn't. But I hadn't figured out exactly what field in art that I do,
Mm.
because I
Right.
realized around grade grade um third form. What's third form? Grade 14? What's that? No, grade 13.
Grade, no, 19, 11. No. My math is bad. 7, 6, 8, ninth
No, grade 9, yes.
grade, ninth grade, yeah.
Grade 9, I'm 14 years old. That's the word. So
Hmm.
around that time, I realized I didn't actually know any jobs. I just knew that art was something that I could do as a job, but I didn't know the job
Yeah.
title. And me and my friend, well, my friend showed me Final Fantasy Advent Children, and my
Oh,
mind was, I was like, this is
yo,
it.
yo,
This is it.
yeah.
Because I'd seen like ads on TV, and I remember catching like the advertisement for Final Fantasy 10,
Hmm.
but it only like 5 seconds of it, and my mind couldn't make up whether it
Yeah, man.
was
Was
like
real or
that.
not, right?
Yes, because it was the first time I was seeing something like that.
Yeah, man. That was the same. Like, I was looking at it like, wait, what? Wait, what am I seeing here?
It was magic. It was
Yeah, man.
magic,
To,
Kevin.
the, to this day, I still don't think a lot of 3D animations hold up to that, to be
No,
honest with you. I mean, maybe I need to watch it over, but
mm-mm,
I honestly
they
don't
don't.
feel like a lot of stuff nowadays hold up to it. Like a lot of stuff I see nowadays, I'm like,
When
feels too.
they when they remastered Final Fantasy Advent Children, they just blew everybody else out of the water. Like not just like how nothing really stands up to Akira,
Yeah,
nothing
yeah,
stands up to Final Fantasy. Like
yeah,
that way.
yeah. Yeah, man, that's true. I show my students Akira like every year because I kind of want to show them like, look, before computer, before everything like this was it, like hand drawn everything. And they're looking at it like somebody sit on a hand draw and hand paint all of that. I'm like, yeah, yeah. I'm like, they're probably dead now, but
Actually, I think
it
a lot of
was
those
done.
guys are alive. Actually, I
No,
think
no, they're alive, they're alive. But and I think if I remember correctly, I think no, it wasn't that studio that went bankrupt. There was a studio that did this very elaborate anime, and they went bankrupt afterwards. But
no
it
man,
was
it was
so
them.
good.
It was
It was
them.
them. It was them. Okay.
Akira totally shook the standard, like the
Yeah,
bar
man.
for animation worldwide,
Yeah, man.
because
They took one. They took
they
one for the team.
yeah, they did such good work that they just never got back their money. Like they made a lot of money now. They make
Yeah,
billions.
yeah, yeah.
The money that it took to make it back just,
Mm-hmm.
and like
I appreciate them.
because of that, like investors didn't want to touch animation in Japan for like 10 years. So 10
Yeah,
years directly after Akira, like nothing was happening in Japan, like good animation.
right.
And then they eventually started getting back with like Neon Genesis Evangelion. And
Mm-hmm.
like up to this day, like they just, I mean, I think they tried Steam Boy on the same level of detail, but Steam Boy
Mm-hmm.
doesn't have the impact that Akira did. They just,
Right.
Akira's just gonna set the bar for the next 50
Yeah,
or 60
man.
years.
Yeah, man. Definitely. Definitely. Like that animation, like I'll tell everybody all the while, like that was the anime that made me watch anime. Like when I
Yeah,
saw that, I was like, what is this? Because it looks remarkably different from American animation. Right? When I'm coming from G.I. Joe and He-Man, where everything is very stiff. Like looking back at G.I. Joe now, I'm like, this don't hold up good at all. You know, looking back at even Thundercats, was it Thunder? Yes, Thundercats. I
Thunder.
remember introducing Thundercats to a cousin of mine, and I was like, "You need to watch this. It's the baddest thing ever." And she's just like, "This is what you call good?" And I'm watching it, going, "Yeah, the acting and yeah, the animation a little bit rough. Yeah, at the time it was awesome.
Yeah, it
At
was.
the
I
time,
mean, you can't. I mean, when your standards haven't been blown away by Akira, you kind
right?
of just, it's
Exactly,
easy for you to accept
exactly,
anything. But yeah,
exactly.
I think Akira was so good. Like the movie was so abbreviated in comparison
The manga.
to the manga, and
Hmm.
nobody understands the movie, but
That is true.
it's still good enough to like to just shake people into
Yeah,
like
yeah.
awareness of what the medium can do.
I'm
That's
glad you
so
said that though, you know. I'm glad you said that because every time I watch Akira, I'm just like, I still don't feel like I understand this storyline.
because
But
most
I
of the
just
people,
love it.
yeah.
Makes sense now. Makes sense. So all right, so how did you get into animation? You know, what stage in your life and how did you get into it? And was it a thing where you're just like, oh, let me try this animation thing and then it became a thing? Or did you like purposely say, oh, this animation thing look cool, I want to do it? How'd that come
Um,
into play?
I think it's something of all three. So when my
Okay.
friend showed me Final Fantasy Advent Children, and
Hmm.
it like made me aware of animation as a job, um, I still didn't know how I was going to do it, but I was on DeviantArt at the time. Then I
Hmm.
found Loish, and Loish was going through like her final year of school, and she was doing animation at school. So she did a film, a student film. And the way she did that student film just made everything seem more accessible to me. Like, oh, this is something that I can do. And I found someone else at the same time who was doing something similar. I'm like, okay, so there's Final Fantasy Advent Children, and then there are these student films that I can learn to do. And eventually I can get from the student films to like the line tests that I see Disney do, which I've always loved. Like that stuff is just magic to me.
It is. It is.
It's still magic to me. So I'm like, okay, so I'm not going to do Final Fantasy because I really like drawing, and Final Fantasy isn't like heavy on the drawing thing. I can do what Loish is doing, and then I can work up from what Loish is doing to what Disney is doing, and like that's how I started working it out.
All right. So when you started animation, I mean, you say you're self-taught, so you didn't go through any of those hard programs that was teaching Toon Boom and stuff like that.
No,
What software did you start using?
pencil and paper.
Those pencil and paper. Okay.
Yeah, like I got a laptop. I
Yeah.
I actually started animating at the end of high school. Like even though I knew that that's what I was
High
going to
school.
do.
All right.
Even though that's what I knew what I was going to do at 14, and like Avatar and Advent Children and all these things was
Mm,
happening, I didn't actually start until the end of high school, and that was
that's still
right
early.
after. It is still early, but like here's the thing, my friend, you
Hmm.
might know him. His name is Nathaniel Hayes.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
Hmm.
not me, Nathaniel, Adam,
That
like
that
we
dude
were
is
all
super talented. Nah, like,
yes. So Nathaniel has always been like annoyingly good at what he does, and
yes.
both of us went into like sixth form AI, not AI, IA, doing like I did a comic back when they weren't judging that sort of thing. And
Mm.
he did an animation back when they weren't judging that. Like what were they going to do with the animation and a comic? You know, so
Mm.
we did it. I'm like, yo, Nathan, I'll start animating. That means I have to start animating now. I can't make Nathaniel come style me. And then I got to Edna, and it was a rough year in my life, not related to Edna.
Mm.
It was a rough year in my life, and I didn't pass a particular class that I needed to pass.
Mm.
And I spoke to the director, I spoke to the VP, and they were like, you can't move on. So I ended up taking a
Mm.
year of deferral. And a friend who I met in my first year of college, he was leaving school at the time. He said,
Mm.
Jenille, Edna does not offer animation. You're gonna have to teach yourself. I was like, okay. And that's what I did. So I went home, I tore up some paper, and I used my laptop screen as like a light box.
Right.
And I found the bouncing ball. I didn't even know what to search. I didn't know the terms. I didn't know what to look for.
Right.
But they showed me the bouncing ball and the walk cycle from the Illusion of Life. No, not Illusion of Life. Animator Survival Kit. And I started with those two things. And that's when I learned like knowledge from other fields can help you animating,
Mm-hmm.
because I'd been doing dancing my whole life up until that point. So I had a good sense of timing and like
Right.
rhythm and whatnot. So when I first did the walk cycle and the bouncing ball, I realized that them never looked too good. They were moving, but them never have any particular appeal. And
Right.
like
Right.
I realized that it was the timing of it. So timing and spacing were probably the first two elements of animation, principles of animation that I figured out in like the
Mm.
first 8 months of me trying how to do it. And at the end of those 8 months, the first Kingston happened. So like everything was timed very well for me.
Right. Right. Oh, so you entered something in the first Kingston back
No,
in 20? No. Oh, okay. So why you said the timing was right.
because when I went to Kingston, I found a studio called Skyres, and
Ah.
they taught me how to use Toon Boom. Like my computer had died, so
Mm-hmm.
no pencil animation was gonna happen anyway.
Right.
So
Right. Right.
I had to abandon my laptop because my laptop abandoned me, and then I had to use their machine, and they taught me how to use Toon Boom and all that stuff. And then I went back to school like, with this knowledge, and I've been running off that since.
Okay. Cool. So, all right. How did you end up at Listen Me Caribbean?
So I got to my final year at Edna, and I was doing my final year show or my final year project, which was going to be a film, which is basic. And I see that's the same thing I did in sixth form, just something where them never TV. So how them I go like grade me funny. Anyways,
Right.
I did that, and I had a friend who was already at Listen Me, and he said, we need animators. We need more cool artists, and we need animators. And you're like the only one I know right now. Would you
Mm-hmm.
like to work for us? And at the time, I was thinking of like doing freelancing
Right.
instead, because I wanted to try and like get out the country as early as possible. Not
Mm-hmm.
necessarily because I didn't want to be here, but I just want to live in multiple places. So I was like, yo, if I can get out the country early, I won't feel bad about coming back later. I won't get attached too early. Um, but that didn't happen. So I sent in my portfolio, which was not good, but it was a portfolio, and I
Mm-hmm.
had an interview, and then I finished the school year, and then I met Kenya, the CEO, again
Yeah.
at my final year show. And she asked me if I was still interested. I'm like, yeah. And like a month after that, I was working at Listening. So about a month
Okay.
after school, I had a job.
Okay. All right. So two things I want to touch on. One is what was your final year piece? Because I feel like I saw it, but I'm not sure. What was your
It,
final year piece?
I
Was it an
called,
animation?
I called it Ex Nihilo. It's about this girl who was stuck
Mm-hmm.
in an empty room, and she had like a piece of charcoal, and she drew like windows and doors all over the place because she was trying to get out. And one night when she went to sleep, one of the tiny little windows started glowing, and when she put her eye up to it, it grew bigger, and then water came rushing in, and then like nature started growing, like all the drawings of her flowers became real, like tree roots started popping up, grass, and all this stuff that she had never seen before.
Yeah, I think I did see it.
Yeah, and then she realized like all this stuff was great and knew she had a whole new world inside the room. The room was now huge, but she realized that the door was huge now and it was still open. So if she could just get across the water, like the small sea that was between her and the door, she could get out. So she walked down to the beach and she swam across. Well, she couldn't really swim because she didn't know anyway. So she swam across the sea and she climbed up to the door. And she looked behind her and she made the choice that she was going to leave her brand new world for a much bigger one. And I really feel like I was thinking about whether I would choose to stay or to go if I had the opportunity. I never got the opportunity, so I had to stay. But I think that was where my mind was at when I did that piece.
Wow, that is a beautiful story and very philosophical, and I think that's cool because the best stories come from personal experiences. So that sounds like a powerful story. And honestly speaking, sometimes I wonder why the Edna show isn't a bigger thing. And when I say a bigger thing, meaning like a national event, just simply because I think I've been there maybe twice, and when I've gone, I'm witnessing how they've dressed up the space. And I'm looking at it and going, you don't see this in many places in Jamaica at all. This extreme artistic expression, even in the presentation of it. Yeah, I feel like it should be a bigger show.
I can't speak on Edna's behalf, quite honestly. I don't know what's going on with Edna anymore. I'm not particularly worried. I've just liberated myself it's not even like I have something against Edna. I've just never been loyal to any school that I've left. I've been to good schools, but I don't enjoy being in school. I've had good experiences.
I totally get you.
I'm not like back in my high school days or back in my prep school days. Nope. Best time of my life is outside of school. So
no, I totally understand what you're saying. Other thing I want to talk about, like, I love that you mentioned the whole portfolio thing, because that's one of the things that I keep trying to drill in people's heads, because I can tell you, I can't count how many times people are like messaging me, hey, I want a job in animation, or I'm a good illustrator, I want a job as an illustrator. And I'm like, all right, cool, show me your portfolio. And they're literally WhatsApping me a very dark picture of a pencil drawing on paper with lines from a notebook, and I'm just like, dude, that can't be a portfolio. No.
It's like on the subject of portfolios, it's like, on the one hand, art being taken seriously in Jamaica is so rare. So like, I don't expect much. Like when somebody within themselves realize that they can probably do art as a job, and they've just realized that, I'm not surprised that they don't know what a portfolio is. They don't know how to treat their own work with respect. They don't know any of this stuff. So I'm not surprised, right?
Yeah, when you put it that way, I can see what you're saying, because that is true. I think even from the perspective of where like people are like, oh my God, I can't believe these artists are charging this. And I'm like, them don't really know what to charge, and them just kind of just charging based on what they feel is fair. So you can't hit them. Enough information isn't out there for them to make an intelligent enough decision about it.
But in that situation, normally they're charging too little.
They're usually charging too little because they have no clue what to charge. It's not until they get some experience and they realize, all right, $5,000 for this illustration, don't cut it, because they want 10 billion changes, and and then eventually over time the price goes up. But when people just jumping out of school, it's like them take anything, and then the thing that always surprises me is like the business world will be like, oh, you artists are so unreliable. I'm like, well, if you're paying them chump change and you're asking them for 10 million changes, them are gonna start duck you. That's just common sense, you know. But,
They're not
yeah,
properly motivated.
yeah, not properly motivated, and also, something you had mentioned earlier, like with high school and not knowing that art or there were professions in art, is very interesting because Coretta and I years ago we went to Campion because the guidance counselor asked us to go to Campion and
Oh
talk
yeah, I
about
heard this story.
animation. And yeah, I think I spoke about it in the last video I did, and literally like the kids, they didn't react much. So we were like, okay, they clearly never liked this presentation as much as we were trying to be funny. But afterwards, the guidance counselor was like, don't leave. And it's like when the parents left, the kids just came rushing over and showing us the artwork and, asking us what they could be when they grew up and all of that. And, you realize that art, they really don't get much of a place in like career days,
Yeah.
And oh, hold on a second. What's that? Oh, okay, great. Awesome. Yeah, so it's like and that was why that thing stuck out to me when you're talking about the water tanks. As much as I know it probably wasn't intentional, but I was still just thinking to myself, imagine you have the arts over here, you guys are doing great things, and you can't even get water, and you have to stare on other people water every day,
No, no, no.
and
We thought it while we were in the situation.
and that's the thing. I feel like artists probably even feel that way too. Like you're an artist, you're doing great work, but you're staring at other people's success. That you're like, okay, I want success too, but I don't want to be there. In that space to gain the success. I don't want to be a doctor. I don't want to be a lawyer, but I still want water too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But,
But
but
yeah, back to the portfolio. So like
yeah.
I understand like the unpreparedness, well, the ignorance when it comes to like what portfolios are and how to present yourself and
Mm,
whatnot. But at the same time, you have the internet, right?
yes, yes.
And especially if you're coming out of school now, I don't want like I'm in a position to see portfolios when they come into this to me. Um
Hmm.
or well, or CEO and or creative director, they trust the opinions of the team because
Right.
the team specializes in what they do, so they trust the
Hmm.
opinion of the team when they say something about a portfolio. So
Right.
like, I'm in the position to see that like even after school, after college, you still don't know what to do with your portfolio, and I think that is a problem because why are you going to school? It don't make no sense.
Right.
You might
Right.
as well
Right.
just figure it out on your own. Like if you're going
True.
to school and nobody's showing you how to treat your work, how to respect your own work, and how to
Hmm.
present it in a way so that other people will respect you and believe you when you say that you're an artist,
Right.
when you say that you're an animator. I don't see why when you send out your portfolio, we should respect it. Like we try, like whenever I look at a portfolio from a college student, I always like try to have grace because I know
Mm,
my portfolio wasn't great and I was
right.
aware I was aware of like how good portfolios can be. So
Right.
I just think it's frustrating for people to put their money into an institution to teach them how to do a thing, and then when they leave, they still can't do the thing. And I don't know
Right. Right.
where the fault is because, of course, as a student, you have to take control of your own learning,
Yes.
but at the same time, you put your trust in the people who are there to guide you into some good learning. So
Let me tell you, sometimes it is the institution's fault, and sometimes it's literally the students not taking the advice seriously. And I say that because it's something that I constantly emphasize to my students. And sometimes I have to get somebody like a guest speaker like you to come in and just talk to them, about portfolios or look at the portfolio, etc., so that they realize it's serious. Sometimes I'll have to get like a Diane or Chevy to come in and beat up the students a little bit so that they understand. Because you will tell them, hey, you need to do your portfolio need to look like this, da, 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 da. And when you look at their art station, you're like, okay, what is this? Like to the point where I've had to now make it like an assignment
mhm.
to put your stuff in your portfolio. And I remember there was one student who did this piece, and I saw it on her Instagram, but I didn't see it in her art station. And I'm like, So why is this not on your art station? I mean, this looks better than everything that's on your art station. If somebody goes to your art station, they're going to think you can't draw. And clearly you can. And you're like, oh, I didn't think of putting it in my art station. I'm like, but you put it on Instagram. Like,
Um,
in an account that's locked.
wow. Okay.
Like,
But to be fair, like even I feel intimidated on art station. I don't really think art station is for my kind of work. I mean,
right.
they've expanded like the kind of work that they accept. But even myself, I don't feel comfortable on ArtStation with my work, and I've been trying for years to get to a place where I feel comfortable. But like
Okay.
what you said about that student having to beat up the student, like I still do that to friends right now. Friends, grown ass friends who have skills. I'm like, nigga, put your work online, please. When we send somebody to you for some work, what me I gonna send them to? What are they going to see?
Exactly.
How am I going to justify sending them to? They stop make me look bad. Put the work
Exactly.
on online so me can just send
Yeah,
some work
exactly.
here.
Exactly. I have some students that are amazing and they're like, sir, help me get a work done. I'm like, yeah, but your portfolio don't look good. Like, put up some of your good work so I can at least show somebody your portfolio, because nobody's going to, if I show them what you have in your portfolio now and tell people, take my word for it, he's good, they're not going to believe me. So, just fix up your portfolio.
Why do you think that is though? Why do you think that they put their best work somewhere where they're, well, that's probably it. They put their best work somewhere where they're comfortable, and the whole
Yeah.
animation thing is still new to them, so they don't really think that what they have
Yeah.
is good enough for like the professional stuff.
Yeah, and so basically, imposter syndrome is a very real thing.
Oh my God, yes.
I have that all the time. Like, interestingly enough, a lot of people don't know that and I'll say it like this for a reason. A lot of people don't know that I used to be an introvert, and I'm still very much an introvert. As much as I'm always up and about talking and yada yada yada, it takes a big toll. Like, when I'm done, I'm drained and whatever, whatever. But I've learned to be more extroverted because I just realized for me to, I really love the arts, and art is something that I gave up on in high school because of the educational system pressures. So,
Mm-hmm.
I was making comics in first form, second form, third form, and then fourth form when we had to choose our subjects. I was literally just talked out of doing art. And the art teacher that I really loved, she no longer worked there, so she wasn't there to kind of,
Back you.
either back me up and be that voice of reason or whatever. So I kind of gave it up. Would still draw and doodle from here and there. But then when university started and I started doing engineering, electrical engineering or electronic engineering, and then computer science. And after a while, failing a lot of these courses, I was just like, all right, I need to really focus and hone in on this programming thing. Because while I was great at physics and chemistry,
Mm-hmm.
programming was not my deal. So I had to place a lot of focus on the programming in order to get good at it so that I could get my computer science degree. And I did that. I achieved my degree, decent enough degree and everything, started working, would still doodle from time to time whenever my mind wanders or just need some therapy. I would write and all of that stuff, but never really fully got back on into it. And it wasn't until I was like knocking on 30. And I'm like, Kevin, what you really want to do with your life? Because this programming thing, boring, bad. Like, I really feel like you're going to kill somebody someday if you're programming into your 40s and 50s. And like, I think I was 27 at the time, and I was just like, all right, I love stories. I love telling stories. I'm going to become a filmmaker by 30. And if I don't become a filmmaker by 30, then I will probably go do a master's in IT and become a manager. But I don't want to be an IT manager. So I'm determined I'm going to break into this film industry by 30. And that actually manifested. And I found myself far happier, far happier person. And I was just, and even people who knew me were like, yo, like, you seem very comfortable in this niche. And the animation thing came later on when Jamper was promoting it, and I was just like, you know, I really want to get back into drawing, and I really want to get back into art. This might be a good way to do it, you know. But like I was saying to somebody, with my first animation job, I didn't think I was good enough, you know. And to be honest with you, even when I made that decision to come out of IT and pursue film, I literally had to hide that fact from everybody I knew. I had to hide it from my friends. I had to hide it from my family. And
Why did you think they weren't going to support you?
Let me tell you what kept happening. When they saw me, and you know, this was particularly friends. There's probably one friend who was like, "Yo, Kevin, do what you're doing," because he know me from a long time, and he knows I'm very headstrong. If I decide I want to do something, I'm going to do it. But all of my other friends were like, "Boy, yeah, this film thing is a nice hobby, but you know, maybe you should go do this MBA or, you know, IT masters," and that. And like, they would literally, every time they see me messing around with film, they would be discouraging me. And eventually I was just like, huh?
Why people say so?
No, you know, the thing is, in their minds, they're looking out for your best interest, and they're thinking, boy, you know, you're pursuing this pauper life. And
Well, no, I understand that, and I didn't mean that in like a negative way, but like,
right.
I think Jay-Z said something about it. Like, he said that when he was rapping, when he was very, very young, like in his teen years, his uncle was like, "No, don't do it. You're not going to like be good at this." And it sounds pretty bad, but he was actually just scared on his behalf. Like, he wanted him to do well. But like, why are we so afraid though? Like, that's what I want to know. Why are we so afraid of?
I don't know, and that's the thing. I mean, like, all of this is a long-winded way of me saying that what happens a lot of the time with artists is that because you're ashamed of being an artist, because people make you feel ashamed of being an artist, you tend to do it on your own, and you get so used to doing it on your own that you're afraid to show people your work. Right? You love doing things by, and even when I did the interview with the Toon Twin that worked on Captain Stay at Home, he said it loud and clear. He said, "Boy, he never really want nobody knows him do cartoon, you know, and blah blah blah." I'm like, "Really? Why?" And he said, "Boy, you know, because people think, say, you know, I pick the things, so with it kind of shame, so I do cartoon." And I was like, "Wow, that's so interesting, you know, that you're good at something and you're afraid of people knowing that you're good at something." But that's how the arts have been treated. When you're doing art, people, "Oh, you're talented, blah 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 blah," but go study your book, go do this, go do that, and you know, you start to feel like, I'll give you, in grade 5, I got beaten for drawing in my notebook. Right? Grade 5.
That's so bizarre to me, Kevin. Like, at every stage of my life, I was always encouraged to do the art thing. So when people say like them parents or like them friend them say the art thing is not great, it's just so weird to me. Like, I know it happens, of course, but I can't ever remember being at a place where I wasn't just encouraged to do more. Like, if I'm doing arts, I'm also doing academics. So they were always very focused on you being like a well-rounded person, and they never treated, at no stage at my life was arts ever treated like a secondary thing. They always said like, you're doing schools challenge quiz, but you're also doing dancing. You're doing you're doing like swimming, but you're also doing drama, music, dance for JCBC. Like, there was always the motivation to just do more, like be excellent at what you, but while you're being excellent, just balance it out. So you can't be like at a 50% for art and then a 50% for like maths. You have to be at the 90% for maths and the 90% for art. So it's just up there at all times. So boy, Kevin, I was very blessed.
No, and that's the thing. I think artists like you are the ones that go on to be great, because every artist that I've met that have been encouraged from an early age are always great. There's you, there's Nathaniel, there's Aaron Cargill, you know.
Nathaniel's whole family is are artists.
Exactly, and that's the same thing with Aaron Cargill. I think his family are artists as well, and you know, it's just one of those things that I strongly believe that we would have less crime if we were to actually look at people's talents and say, hey, let us focus them in the direction of their talents instead of trying
Yeah.
to fit them into a box. Because the fact is, if you take John Brown, who does not want to do accounting, but you force him to do accounting, he's going to become a bad accountant, right? Or he's going to fail and become a criminal. One or the other, and both are bad, right? But if you realize that John Brown is great with wood, and you send him to the best school that carves wood or whatever, you're going to end up with a very amazing, carpenter or whatever the case is. Somebody that's going to pay them a lot of money to do what they do because only they can do it that way. But that's not how art is promoted in Jamaica. Art is one of those things where it's like, if you are a painter or a sculptor that commands millions of dollars, you're some kind of prodigy or magical person. It's not
No, it's not a skill.
a profession. It's just you're a superstar by yourself. You know
Like
what I mean?
the whole Watson family in Jamaica are artists. Like every single one of them are amazing because they're all like allowed to be artists as kids.
Oh,
I think well, one of them taught at Edna, and I asked him, like, he and all his brothers are artists, and I asked him about like his kids, and he said that I think he said one of his daughters is like a lawyer, but they didn't say that she couldn't do art. Of course, she
right.
did art. She just chose to be a lawyer, and he has nieces and nephews who are very good at art because they chose.
Yeah. Like, all right. Did you know that the time when you came up to UA when Daniel was doing the figure drawing class, did you know one of the Watsons was in there?
Nope.
Yep, one of the Watsons was in there. He's a painter. He's
What does
oh
he
God,
look like?
what does he look like?
Was he super tall? Because
Well,
there are two super tall guys here, that's basically what I remember. The people I know and the two super tall guys.
well, I'm short. Everybody's taller than me, so he was tall. He would have had a beard. He was over the left side of the room.
Was that my left or your left?
He was near to he would be my left. He was near to Robert, so he was
Okay,
over
so
in the
that's my
corner,
left.
whatever. Yeah, but yeah, he came through, like he saw the ad and he was just like, oh yeah, I want to come do some figure drawing with some people and whatever. But he decided he wants to be low key, so I was like, all right, fine, I ain't gonna announce it. But
I
yes,
mean,
he was there and he actually enjoyed it. He was like, next time you guys doing it, please show me.
I mean, it would have been pretty easy to be low key. Jamaicans aren't all that crazy about
That's true. That's
about
true.
celebrities unless they're Jamaican celebrities, like Elephant Man. If you say Elephant Man, everybody going go mad over that. But if you say like
True.
Idris Elba, all right, cool boss, and then that's it. Them just hail him and that's it.
So all right, I wanna push forward now, and I'm gonna share a screen because I want to show some of your work.
Okay.
It's your Instagram page.
Okay.
So actually get to see what your face looks like. So let's scroll through.
Oh God, my art station. Okay.
Or I'm specific. There's a specific piece I'm going to.
Okay.
Yeah, I was saying that I'm very used to seeing characters from you, but here I'm seeing background, and I'm just wondering, is this a recent thing, or you always, always the backgrounds? I mean, clearly you would have had to do it for your animations. I'm breaking up.
No, Kevin, I don't like doing backgrounds. I really don't. I respect background artists so much.
Trust me.
I've made effort to like learn perspective and learn composition and designing and all that stuff. So I can do it, but when it comes to painting it, I hate it. Hate it with a passion. So what I did was I asked a friend to collaborate and paint the background for me.
Cool.
I found the references I wanted to use. I sketched out how I wanted him to exaggerate it a little bit. And I said, I art directed him. It was less of a collaboration and me just bossing him around. So I don't want any detail. I just want it to feel good. I want like an
right.
So just use textured brushes. I want some rhythm in there. Like I know enough about backgrounds to instruct somebody on what I want, but I don't have enough patience to actually sit down and paint it.
I get you. And yeah, I definitely respect background artists. Like, it was so hard to find a good background artist for that thing.
So yeah, it's Kimani doing it.
Oh, it's Kimani do it. Oh, okay. Oh,
Yeah, I just
okay.
bullied him into doing it.
Same thing, same thing. Kimani, for those who don't know, Kimani did the backgrounds on Agwe as well. Kimani and Kylie. And yeah, Kimani talented with it, man. Jeez.
And Kimani's family is another art family too. So the encouragement from early.
Yeah, I can imagine. You can trust me. Like literally, we had been searching and searching, and then when we book him up, we're like, oh, and it's like anything you want, him can paint. All right, so let's look at your artwork. This is some of your dancing coming into play. I can see.
Yeah. Yeah, like
You want me to kick?
from the very beginning, I well, not from the very beginning, but like by the time I started it now, I was able to tell when something was stiff. So I'd started picking up on action lines with the gestures and whatnot.
Right.
So like in dancing, I realized that the reason why a picture feels like it's moving, it's when you catch them when their balance is off. Like
Yeah.
so their balance isn't set on any particular foot because they're shifting balance from one foot to another, or they're
Right.
like shifting their center of gravity and whatnot. So I figured out how to put that in a drawing. So yeah, that's why they always feel like
Yeah.
they're moving. Even when there is a still like this one. This one is pretty still.
Yeah, man, I love this piece. But yeah, you can feel the energy in this. Like you can feel where her weight is. You can feel where it's relaxed. You can feel it. Look, yeah. It even feels like she's sliding towards the camera.
Yeah. Also, good reference.
Really nice. Really nice. Yeah, good reference helps as well. Oh, look at this arm bar. Nice. Sorry, the martial artist in me. What's your favorite piece on here?
My favorite. I have a favorite. No, I don't even have a favorite idea. I don't have a favorite piece. Oh, I do actually. Scroll all the way down to like 4 years ago.
Yeah, by the way, guys, this thing is long. Like I was going through it earlier today, and I was like, "Good God!" Oh, sorry, I have to pause on the planting. Always love pausing on this planting. Look at that yummy planting. Anyway, let's get back to scrolling.
That was actually practice for the film emoji stuff, that I'm doing.
I figured as much.
Scroll up. Is it even still there? Scroll. Just keep scrolling.
You got a lot of stuff here, so I'm sure it is. I love the different styles. That's good. Whew, we're gonna be here all year.
Oh damn! I think it might be the first thing that one of the first things that I.
Oh really?
Oh, it's the third thing on like yes, that's my favorite thing. Like no matter how often I look back at it, I still really like it. I like the idea. Like I'm not totally dissatisfied by the execution. I think one day when I level up some more, I'd like to go back and visit it. It's like a princess in a tower, except the tower is a church tower, and yeah, and it's just this little youths trying to fight the sea serpent instead of the dragon underwater. I really like it. I made it for a friend's song, and he just won't let his songs live online. But I still remember the song, and I still really like it. I'd like to animate it one day, maybe.
Speaking of which, let's segue into that music video that you worked on the other day. Like, what was that experience like? How did that come about?
All right, so my clients, he said they were re-releasing a song by the Wailing Souls that Alba Rossi was now featuring on. He said he wanted to do a music video, and he wanted it to be animated because he was kind of tired of the live action thing. He wanted something new. So he was just like looking around at the music videos that had been done in Jamaica because while he wanted to use a Jamaican, he didn't know that he could get animation in Jamaica, and he happened to just book up on a music video that a friend of mine did for Royal Blue. So Ikem Smith did a music video for Royal Blue, and that music video, turned out to be like this huge group project, like, because Ikem has big ideas, and while he's a magician, he can't always manage it on his own. Oh, that's a funny
You
one.
and Nathaniel, yeah. Is that
Yes.
the art show?
Yeah, that's the art show.
Cool. But yeah, go on talk about the music video.
So Ikem asked, he called out for some help, and he asked me if I could do like an animation. And I did it, and I did it as a favor because Ikem helps me so much. Just so giving of himself.
He is.
So I just helped him out, and he credited me. He credited me really well. He put up a clip of what I did, put my name inside it at the end of the music video, and then my client saw that. I was like, oh, they're animators in Jamaica. So he messaged me same time, and he was like, can you do a music video? And I was like, depends on the music video, because the bigger the music video, the more likely I am I'm going to need a team. So you might just actually want to approach a studio.
Right.
So yeah, he told me what he wanted, and he said, okay, I'm still going to need a team, but I don't need a whole studio for that. And and that's how he found me. I took it there, and I hired 2 people. I hired somebody to basically be like a mentor, creative director type person to like guide me on how to communicate with a client, how to
oh yeah, that's important.
Because that's so important. Like the way you communicate with your client can just make your whole job hard or make your whole job great. So having him be that person for me was great. And then I hired like my compositor. So it was 3 people to help me, and I was doing like the animation. So I was doing pre-production, the animation production, and I had somebody else doing the post-production, and somebody to make sure that my work didn't suck. So that was my director.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
So it was like that whole thing was like a learning experience, because the thing is, while I'm at listening, because it's such a small studio, we're most of the hats, so we're all in leadership positions at some point, and it's been happening more and more often. I still haven't done it on this scale that I did with this client. So it was largely a learning experience.
Okay, cool. Yeah, and I mean, it's very important for us artists to take on, new challenges, because especially in Jamaica, where, like you said, not much opportunities. So the opportunities you do get, you want to take them so that you can learn how to handle new challenges.
Yeah.
Because there are so many challenges about it. And I'm glad you brought up that point about getting somebody specifically to, handle the client relations, or help you handle client relations.
Yeah,
it's very important that a creative gets that creative space they need, because one of the things like I really hate hearing is when people say, oh, artists aren't good at business, and like I have to keep saying to them that, all right, when you say it like that, you're making it sound like it's in our DNA to just mess up at business, and that's not the situation. The situation is that as an artist is like any other profession. If you're a full-time doctor, chances are you're not going to be good at engineering. If you're a full-time engineer, chances are you're not going to be great at being a dentist or whatever the case is, because your energy has to be focused on what you specialize in. So it's just like being an animator, because you can be a good business person, it's just that the art is going to get sacrificed.
Yeah.
Same way if a business person wants to become an artist, their business would get sacrificed.
I mean, that's what happened with Walt Disney. He was an artist in the beginning, and then Disney's just took over. So he just became the dreamer instead of like the actual artist. And then his brother took on the business. So he wasn't even, he was just the guy with the big ideas, man.
Exactly. And that's the thing. He eventually just realized that, okay, if I really want to make this work, I'm going to have to just give up the art and focus on the business full time. And he made a great decision. I mean, Disney is now Disney. So, all right. So I'm going to take a look at your art station. And as I said, that specific piece.
Okay.
Sure, you can guess what piece it is.
Yep.
All right. So we're looking at the Hot Stepper. So you won the character design competition Jan put on in 2017 with this lady here, this fiery lady. And you went on to develop this comic, right? Now, one of the things I really love about this comic is just the whole epitome of how Jamaican it is. You
Oh
know,
man,
like
I was trying so hard.
it definitely worked. So what I want to know now is, all right, the character of Hot Stepper, did you have that idea before the JANN competition, or was it just done for the JANN competition and then afterwards you just said, let me create a story around her, or let me translate this story into comic form? Like, talk to me through the journey of Hot Stepper.
All right, so the thing you made a comment about how very Jamaican it is.
Yeah.
I've been thinking for a very long time on how to translate Jamaican culture to like the sort of media that I enjoy. And I realized that I'm not very steeped in dancehall culture. There are parts of it that's just very hilarious to me. There are parts of it that's very fun to me, and there are parts of it that I'm just not interested in. So Hot Stepper was basically it. Like, I realized that there were gimmicks in dancehall that I would never do, but I think they're really interesting. And I just think that, like, if you should make them, it like they seem to fit better as they seem to fit better as characters, like show characters rather than real people. Like, with what real person is going to take a gas pan to a party? Except in Jamaica. Exactly. So I was thinking about all that. I'm like, yo, how, like, what would my visual language be like? How would I convey a particular thing? And then the JANN character design competition came around, and they were like, make a character. And I was like, I'm gonna do a villain. And the latest fad in dancehall at the time was the gas pan thing. So I was like, all right, gas pan, fire. We'll have a lot of things about fire. Fireman, fire ground, lava ground, everything. Like, so I said, I'm going to choose somebody. I'm going to make somebody who is just brazen about what and who she is. She just doesn't care about the consequences. She does what she wants. And I was trying to, please pardon that, I'm on the main road, so you hear.
Okay. No, don't worry, I completely understand.
Yeah, so I thought of like bits and pieces of culture and things that I could reference, and I came up with Grace Jones. Grace Jones does not care. Grace Jones is just who she is unapologetically. I
have a story where that's concerned, but go on, talk.
I looked her up on Pinterest and I loved her style. And I'm like, okay. So I like the gas pan thing. I like Grace Jones and her attitude and her style. And in terms of art style, I have really liked Bruce Timm's work on like Batman animated series. Like, if you look at my work, you can see that.
Yeah,
like, my legs in particular are heavily influenced by how Bruce Timm and Shane Glines draw legs. So and that's how Hot Stepper came about. It was just an attitude and a gimmick, and I drew her like 4 times and came up with her just like this.
And let me tell you, I think everything you said is the reason why you won that year, because the judges were looking for a certain originality, and they were looking for a character that stood out, a character that was believable, and a character that truly embodied their theme. It wasn't just enough to just draw a cool looking character. It was okay, how believable is it that this character is a Jamaican, superhero or villain, and how well was that theme translated? This mouse is going up here. And I mean, when we looked at it, it was like, yo, she have matchsticks and a gas pan, which we knew was very dancehall culture, and the patches on her outfit are the pad to strike the matches, and we're just like, yo, this is well thought out, and the judges thought so too, and I mean, literally, and I think also we're looking at the fact that the character looks like it belonged in an animation. Because I think when I
Yes.
first saw it, I was there saying, "Yo, this looked like Static Shock. Like she could just fit right into a Static Shock episode." You know?
The reason why I learned character design in the beginning
Hmm.
is because I was getting better at the animation thing, but my characters sucked. I was like, I'm
Hmm.
not putting good animation and bad character design. So I learned how to animate. So every time I do a character design, I do it with the idea that it's going to move. So when I came up with the matches, I'm like, how is she going to start this fire? What movement
Right, right,
would look cool when she start this fire? So I'm like, if she just ran the matches along her arm, and it
right.
and it sparked on her arm. I thought that would look so cool, and that's how I came up with the strike pads on her jacket.
Yeah, man. The strike pads, I definitely think that that was like that little detail that made the judges go, "Yeah, man, this works. This works." Because, and this is something for if Jan ever gets that character competition off the ground again, for
Hmm.
people to know that when they're designing their characters, pay attention to the brief and just try to ensure that your character really embodies who they are, because it's like, okay, hot stepper, right? We have the heat in there, and the stepper thing, we can associate with dancehall and stepping out into the dancehall. It was obvious that she was dressed for the dancehall, and it
Hmm.
was obvious that everything about her said heat, and it was very functional and practical, so that's what definitely won us over. And Pete, you did this comic, and everybody appreciated it because everybody remembers Hot Stepper from that competition. And I guess the one thing is, I know for you it was a one shot thing, but I really do have to ask, any plans for Hot Stepper in the future?
Yeah. The latest Kingston, I entered her in the pitch competition, and I got like to what's that thing before finalists, semi-finalists.
Right. Hmm.
I didn't progress any further. The thing about, and let's just move on to like Kingston and like the learning opportunities that they and the
Oh yeah,
government
yeah.
they've been doing a lot
Hmm.
of like just making information available for
Yeah,
new animators and business people to learn about it.
yeah.
Thing about it is when you have an idea and in a sense it's pure, it's unaffected by like needing to make money off it and needing it to last like beyond, it's like it doesn't exist beyond the purpose of just being fun to do.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
it's fair, well, not easy, but you can do something like that. But once like the business comes in and you have to think about how will it
Yeah.
so a demographic and like
Yeah,
what
man.
studio will want it, and like if it's going to for this demographic you're probably
Yeah,
going to
man.
have to remove this and such
Yeah.
element from it.
Yeah.
Like all that information is just a lot to process. So
It is. It is
so while
because I
continue.
mean, as you would know from going to like even kids screen and all of that
Yeah.
stuff, it's like when you look at, like, for me, when I look at this, I go, wow, yo, if this was an animation, I would definitely check it out. It would make for a great Netflix adult animation on that
Yeah,
thing there,
no.
robots and whatever.
Yeah,
I don't remember.
Love Death and
You're
Robot.
right. But
Yeah,
then
but
no, when you go
no,
to
Kevin, Netflix is
mm,
just being a thing. No, but at the time when I
at
was
the
like,
time,
so I felt
right,
like I really had to put myself in like a box, and
right,
it was uncomfortable for me. But I was still learning, so I wasn't too fussed about it. So when Kingston came around and I had to do the pitch, and I was like working out like the world and like the powers and blah blah blah. All that was very fun because even before I started making the official pitch, I just write short stories and like send it to my
mm,
friends, and my friends would laugh, and like that was fun for me. Like I didn't have to tell it, I didn't have to put it online, I didn't have to share it with anybody outside of like my group of small
mhm.
friends and make them laugh. And that was fun, but like trying to format it for a competition into something that is digestible for foreign
Yeah,
audiences
man.
has been so hard. So I kind of just left it alone. I'm kind of just letting all that extra information that I put in my brain, just let it drain out a little bit. And so I can just focus on the story so that if I should make a decision as to pitch it to somebody else, I have the direction that I want to go in. so that
Yeah.
when they say we can't do this and we can't do that, I know what things I can say yes to and what things I can say no to. Right? So that's if I decide to pitch it. I
Yeah.
might just decide to like do a bunch of animatics, or I might
That'd be
decide to
cool.
do a comic. I might continue this comic. I don't know yet, but yes,
Mm-hmm.
there's
No,
definitely like a lot of world building and like just ideas behind this. Books
very
and
important.
sketchbooks are full of this stuff.
Important points, because the honest truth is, like, I'm looking at it and I'm saying I would love to see it the way you intend for it to be.
Mhm.
And that is because, you've fascinating character. I would really hate to see this kind of be like watered down to a, oh well, we need to try and get this to appeal to this audience, and maybe she's being a little bit over sexualized. Maybe we should change her outfit. Maybe we should do this with her. All kind of things that they're doing now. Because, like, for example, like, one of the things that I'm kind of getting tired of now is, like, you're watching some stuff and then it's like they've decided, oh, it's diverse, and then by diverse they just mean, oh, there are gay characters in it, and then you go, is that the only way to be diverse? Like, I
Mm,
start to feel like every single show is that way, and I feel like they would look and they go, hey, could Hot Stepper be a lesbian, just so they can tick off a diverse demographic,
yeah,
right? And it doesn't truly, what do you call it, resonate with that demographic, because it's not authentic. It's
yeah,
one thing if a character is authentically gay, but it's another thing if you just go, oh, we need a gay character, throw them in. And you're
yeah.
like, okay, so what about the Asian characters? What about the Indian characters?
You
What
know,
about the
I've thought about that, and I'm just like Jamaican, like outside of America, well, outside of white countries,
Mhm,
predominantly white countries.
mhm,
Um, I don't know that they'd call us diverse, cause or like Caribbean and like African nations, like and Asian
mhm.
nations, they have like a different like ratio of ethnicities where
Right,
so like if they come to Jamaica and they see like the skin tones that are at listening, like the city I wear,
right,
and we have like really dark skin and we have like really light skin, but nobody is necessarily Asian. Everybody's mixed. Like they can't
right.
tell that they're mixed, but would they call it diverse, or would they not? Like, is it what is diverse to them? So
Yeah,
I
that's the thing. And I
I'm
feel
not
like they're ticking off. I feel like they're ticking off boxes when they do the whole diversity thing. Because in
sometimes
some
sometimes
cases, yeah, in some cases it's just like, oh, let's change the male character to a female character so it can be diverse.
s-
Why not create a female character who stands out on her own? Why we have to change this
that's
character?
true.
You
Um
know?
sometimes, only sometimes I think they're taking off a box, but sometimes I think like it's really you can always tell when it's really
Mm,
genuine,
right.
right? So
Yeah, that's true.
like Kipo and the Wonder Beast,
Yeah.
like all the main characters are black. And then you have
Mhm.
like the secondary characters which are colored, and then you have some other
Right.
characters which are white, and the creator for that show is a white man. But like
Hmm. Yeah.
it doesn't feel like disingenuine, you know, it feels
Right.
like
Yeah. 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 That's
and
true.
like and a couple of the characters are gay, and that doesn't feel
No, it doesn't.
genuine either. And the creator is a straight white man, married
Hmm.
and with kids. So I think that the your choices, your story choices, has to come from a genuine place.
Yeah, definitely.
I don't have like if you say that this character is over sexualized because she just sexy for no reason, then fine. Make her look really cool, like Shira, like the Shira's redesign. I
Yeah.
really like Shira's redesign. I thought she looked so cool. But
I
like
have not. Let me see. The one that's on Netflix now.
yeah,
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
I especially just like not even the animated version, like the character designs on paper before they're
Mm.
animated, when you can put some more subtlety in the line weight and that sort of thing. I love those designs. They're so nice. But yeah, about Hot Stepper, like I think that dancehall on its own is so diverse. I don't know if it will appear diverse to somebody looking in on it. But I can't worry about that. I just have to be
Right. Yeah.
genuine to the idea.
Right. That's exactly the point that I'm making. That like I wouldn't want you to feel pressured to do something a specific way because somebody wants you to tick off a certain box. I would definitely want for example, if you intend for her to be a lesbian, fine. But if you
Mhm.
didn't, and then they decided to tell you that hey, we should make her do this, and that's not the direction you wanted to go because maybe you want to depict certain sexy scenes with a guy, for example, then
Mhm.
I would want to see what you want to portray. If you want to portray her in a very domineering fashion, that's what I would want to see. Simply because I feel like the story would be coming from an authentic Jamaican perspective, to an authentic Jamaican female perspective, and dancer's perspective, and I feel like that uniqueness needs to be maintained.
Mm.
Once too much interference comes in, then it starts to feel like an American production, and then you start comparing it to other things, and then you start. It's kind of like Luke Cage, for example. You saw Luke Cage season 2?
Nope, I didn't watch it.
Yeah, so that had a lot of Jamaican, content in it or storyline in it, but
Hmm.
it just did not feel authentically Jamaican. It
Oh
felt
yeah, I
like
heard that. I heard that
how
complaints.
other people perceive
Yeah.
Jamaicans, and that's where I have a problem. It's like when you start telling a story the way you perceive a demographic to be, you can easily say, yeah, this don't feel authentic. And it's not that you have to be of that demographic to be able to portray it. It's just a case of in your storytelling, if that's the world you've created, then it will be authentic, not a producer making a certain decision. It's kind of like even with Sprinter, the Jamaican movie. When you watch it, it does feel very authentically Jamaican, but there are aspects of it where you go, I feel like the American producers got their hand into this part of the story
Hmm.
and just messed it up because they were just like, oh yeah, to appeal to our demographic, we need to do it this way or we need to do it that way. And I'm like, I feel like if Storm did it the way he wanted to do it, it would have been a much better movie, you
Mm.
know.
But like,
So
I wonder about that, especially like considering anime, because in our minds, anime is so thoroughly Japanese. But
yeah.
when you look at it from from the Japanese perspective, they actively try to make the work appealing to everybody worldwide. Then
Mhm.
that's part of the reason why they have such like colorful hair, because they didn't want it to be specific to any one nation. Well, I mean,
Right, right.
they're definitely not making their characters look black, of course. But
Right.
they set they s- they set their environments in like places that are based on Europe. But from
Mhm.
the Western perspective, it still looks very Japanese. So I think there's going to be some give and take between
Yeah.
what we can like give ground on and what we can hold firm on. But I think that's like a conversation for later because we haven't really started making stuff yet.
Yeah, that is true. We
I
haven't
think
we
I think
haven't started making stuff yet, but I do believe like we're getting there because I mean, even for example, this piece with Hot Stepper, I think even though at the time when you did Hot Stepper, the diversity spectrum wasn't really bleeding over into Caribbean and Africanesque stories and images.
mhm.
Nowadays, like the last time I went to Kids Screen and the last time I went to MIPCOM and even went to a couple film arts online this year, and everybody's talking about, black this, black that, Asian this, that, like the diversity spectrum is one widening and people are definitely all on board. And you find that producers are now saying, hey, we want your authentic story. And dancehall having a big following, people want to see, with dancehall in it. So I can see this appealing. Uh,
Mhm.
and it's strange because literally like maybe 3 or 4 years ago, they would have probably said to you, oh, you need some white characters and some other characters to kind of balance it off. It's too black. No, they're just like, hey, yeah, let's talk about this. Um,
Mhm.
ticking off boxes again, but I guess in our favor. So I do believe like the more stuff that you put out like this is the more we'll kind of get to that point where we start figuring out what our style is. I saw Gashwin doing that thing with spectacular specs. Yeah, man, and I love that because the honest truth is I don't see many animations or comics with black faces. And so the more of them that I see, the better. And the more of them that I see in the realm of science fiction and fantasy really appeal to me. So simply because I don't like the fact that if I were to do a Star Trek with black people, people would say to me, "Oh, that's not that's unrealistic. That
Actually,
it just doesn't feel like it fits."
There is Star Trek with black people though, like
No, but
more
as in like
nowadays.
no, they're more Africa, more well. There definitely Star Trek Discovery has a black lead. No,
And
but
Star Trek, the original series, had like a black
true.
character in the main cast. But the thing about
Star Trek was always groundbreaking, because remember
it was
that
that
kiss
was the
between
whole
Captain
point.
Kirk. Yeah,
That was the whole
you know.
point of
But
Star Trek.
yeah, but the truth is, like, suppose I decided, okay, let's do a Jamaican Star Trek, like a crew with just Jamaicans.
But
Would people
Kevin,
believe that?
first of all, you'd have to convince the Jamaicans. Let's ignore the foreigners. You have to
Right.
convince the Jamaicans that it's going to be good. And like that's a whole other conversation. We need a cultural shift about what we expect from ourselves. Like if it's good.
Exactly.
I cuss about this thing all the time. I don't want to get into it now, actually. All I'll say is that I'm tired of the expectation, like the bar for Jamaica to be so low. And that once you mention foreign, the bar is so high.
Yeah,
And
man. Yeah, man.
I have to do something about it.
I distinctly remember, like, I showed a film that I choreographed the fights for, and while most people like the fights, there's this one gentleman in the room who him face is just stiff, and I was like, what you thought about it? He was like, well, it was good, but the fighting. So I was like, okay, you didn't like the fighting. He was like, the fighting was good, but he's like, Jamaicans don't fight like that. And I sat there like, do Americans fight like that? Because I just want to know that not even Chinese fight like that in real life. Like if a fight broke out in a bar, they're probably going to fling a chair and fling some bottle. They're not going to jump in the air and do a 360-degree kick in your face. So why is it a Jamaican can't throw a karate kick, right? He literally was just like, he can't see or picture Jamaicans fighting like how you would fight in Hong Kong or the Matrix or whatever the case is. And I'm like,
Kevin,
we can't limit ourselves like this.
Kevin, I've decided that's not my problem. If you want to be basic, that's fine. That's fine with you. But that don't bring it here. You have no idea how many times we get like the comments at the office, at the studio, that something we've done which is good looks too foreign because it's too good. It's so irritating. Like you don't like. I've just decided that if you expect what I do to be rubbish because of where I am and who I identify as, you'll just have to take that opinion and go somewhere else because I just won't abide by it here. I'm not going to lower my standards, and I'm not going to change what I'm going to do because it's not what you expect. If this hot stepper thing look too nice for you, I'm so sorry. If this hot stepper thing don't look Jamaican enough for you, I'm so sorry. This is how I see things, and this is what I'm interested in. So if it's just not for you, it's just not for you, and I have no control over it.
And that's the thing. I feel like people need to be able to understand that a balance needs to be struck, because you do have to make it look polished enough for the international audience, but at the same time maintain a Jamaicanist. If you make it too Jamaican, it's going to look so unfamiliar. Well, when I said I'll give you an example. I remember, because just based on what you just said, I remember doing an animation for a commercial, and I got this guy to do the backgrounds because I saw him do some backgrounds, and I like these backgrounds. And he did the background, and I go, wow, these look nice. These look like, what I see in international cartoons, And the client was just like, oh, we don't like the colors of the background. Why not? Oh, they're a little bit too pastel, we want more saturated. vibrant colors. You know, Jamaica is a saturated, vibrant place, and I'm just like, then the background and the character are going to now be competing for each other, and you know, it just going to look harsh on the eyes. Anyway, did what the client wanted. They loved it, but like every time I look at it, I'm like, it's so harsh on the eyes, and you know, all the colors are fighting for my attention.
Mm-hmm.
And I, you know, in my head, I was just like, yo, I wish they would just subscribe to what the international, you know, studios do, because the fact of the matter is they've studied color science. They understand why they've done the background in maybe a slightly muted color so that the character can stand out from the background. And, you know, the
Mm-hmm.
whole idea with film and animation is the same. As soon as you look on a screen, you want the audience to focus on what you want them to focus on.
Yeah.
And everything is deliberate. The lighting is deliberate. Like we're looking on this image here. There's a reason why she's in color and everybody else is in this, you know, muted kind of bluish green, etc. We want the focus to be on her. We don't want you to be distracted by the girl bent over in the tights with the cutout bottom part,
I
or
was really hoping
you
that
know.
someone listened to that. Kevin, I had so many jokes to put in like the crowd, but I couldn't fit like the angle that I needed for those jokes into like something that was necessary.
Hold
I'm
on
just
there.
looking forward to the day that I can just do what I want and like have enough time. And like the more you watch it, the more you see these Easter eggs of like some
Yeah, man.
guy supermaning off the speaker box to dive into some girl crutches,
I,
and like I
I
just all that
just
stuff is just hilarious to me.
I just seen the girl over in the corner splitting. But no, I mean, let me tell you, the one thing that's been on my mind is like, yo, how much time it take you to do all of these characters? Because
God,
this is like everybody is in a different pose. Everybody's in a different position. Like, did you have a reference drawing for this?
do you
A reference image, sorry.
do you remember when we did that competition?
Yes, 2017, I think.
I started this comic like 2 weeks after winning that competition, and
Oh,
I
okay.
posted this like last year. It took like, first of all, I didn't know perspective as well as I thought I knew perspective.
Mm,
Second of all, I didn't know how to draw people dancing in this particular perspective. Third of all, I've
right.
never drawn this many people before. And like if you look at my work since then, you'll notice that there are more and more crowds in my work. I think this thing has just traumatized me. Like I'm making sure that I can draw a crowd at any angle doing anything that I want from now on. It took me forever. Like the rest of the comic was hard because I also didn't know color theory as well as
Mm-hmm.
I needed to know it, because I didn't know how like her lights would affect the people around her, where that light was coming from.
Uh,
Like I knew that I wanted everything to be blue and red. She would be red, everybody would be blue, but like the lights and all that stuff, I didn't know how all that would work. So the rest of the comic was killing me like that. But this panel, this one in particular, once I worked out the sketch, once I cleaned it up, I just put it on for like a year and a half, like almost 2 years, before I was like de-stressed enough to approach it again. And then
I can
by
imagine.
then I'd had enough practice so that the process was now enjoyable instead of stressing.
Boy, man, I like this panel alone could be a conversation on its own, because literally, like, I'm just looking and seeing every detail, seeing a man bend over, a girl over here on the right,
Mm-hmm.
seeing this girl bend over in the white tights, and a man stoop down and just looking at her while drinking him cup of juice,
Mm-hmm.
like him just mesmerized and fascinated. One guy look like him on him iPad. One guy doing limbo. Like, there's so much going on in this thing. Like, good God. Like, I'm just sitting and thinking, yo, did you just gesture, just
Yeah.
catch some gestures, or did you get a picture of a dance hall and start analyze the people? And
I think about what I would do in a dancehall party, what I would
uh,
want to do in a dancehall, like what I imagine myself doing, and of course I got like references, and I got color references, I got like angle references, I got pose references, but very little of that stuff was in the angle that I needed it to
mm,
be. So I just had to be good at drawing bodies and good at imagining what a body would look like from a particular angle. and just basic skills, your fundamentals like color
Yeah.
and perspective and composition. They really kicked my butt. Like I had to level up to do this.
Mm-hmm. Now I can imagine. I mean, just looking at it, and everybody feels like they're in motion. Yeah, yeah, great job, great job. All right, Janelle, I'm gonna
Yeah.
close off this conversation with, it's definitely a great conversation. I enjoyed every bit of it. Keep up the good work. This is great
Thank
stuff.
you.
And I might be calling on you one day to come to high school and give a talk if, COVID allows us to.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Oh, I want,
there's lots of people out there who want encouragement from, somebody like you. Immaculate has a film club and an animation club.
I've been to
Camden
Immaculate.
has. What's
I've been
that?
to, I've been to Immaculate about,
Oh, okay, awesome.
and they were very enthusiastic. And those girls weren't shy at all.
Yes, they have a lot of confidence. But yeah, man, keep up the good work, and I will definitely keep on, watching your space and seeing what you're up to, because you're definitely one of the talents that keeps on, improving and moving forward. So.
Oh, I wanted to tell you about my next project.
Oh yeah, sure. Go ahead, definitely.
It's called Dream Dust. You've actually seen it on my Instagram.
Oh yes, I did see it. I was actually going to bring it up, but I thought it was an old project because of
No, it's
right
not.
when we scrolled.
It's I had all right. So it was supposed to be like a pop-up exhibition for animators that I was going to host in April. But April is when COVID arrived on the island and then quarantine happened. So like
Yeah.
quarantine happened 3 weeks, 3 or 4 weeks before Dream Dust was
Mm-hmm.
supposed to happen. So we put it off, and
Oh
then
yes, Shireen did mention this to me actually.
yeah, and then I was kind of just waiting to see if we were going to do well with this COVID thing, and we did, and then we got worse. So I'm like, okay, we're definitely going to be doing Dream Dust digitally. So now what it is, it's basically an artist alley. It's going to be it's going to be a web event, like a digital
Mm-hmm.
event that people can come on a website and see the IP that
Okay, cool.
Jamaican creators are doing. So like Gashwin and Daniel will be a part of it, and
Mm-hmm.
like some other people like
Yeah, man.
what's his name, Miguel the Jartis. He's doing like a horror comic based in Mandeville.
Oh,
He,
nice.
yeah, he'll be there. So I just wanted a place where we could go to see what Jamaican creators are doing,
Mm-hmm.
and I wanted it to be like a curated thing. So we have like some variety from in comics, some variety in merchandising, some variety in
Awesome.
like maybe an art book or so. And I wanted it, and we're inviting everybody. So not just students and not just like adults who are already working, but also adults who are parents and
Mhm.
people who are interested in the business, because the community needs to be diverse
Yes.
so that we can all depend on each other to make this industry. I'm very concerned about the industry here because I want to live and work here. I don't want to
Yeah,
have
man, same
to.
here.
If I leave, it's because I want to go, not because I have to go. So
Right, right, right. I
and
completely agree with that.
sadly, Kingston doesn't have an artist alley, which I think is something
Mm-hmm.
that needs to be there to keep the artists coming back. I'd like Dream Dust to be a place where you
Mm-hmm.
can go and immediately you see what Jamaican creators are doing. So you're not so lost. You don't feel like
Yeah, man.
there's only one person over there doing a thing and another person. It's
Right, right.
actually a small group, but it's still a group of us making
Mm,
stuff. And
right, right.
I think if you see somebody making something, you're then encouraged to make something on your own if you want to.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So
Um,
that's Dream Dust.
okay. By the way, as you mentioned that, there's something that Jan is going to be implementing soon. We haven't launched yet because we were trying to figure out certain logistics, which is basically merchandise Mondays.
Mm-hmm.
So we just wanted to create a space because, like, all of these anime events have pretty much been canceled because of COVID.
Yeah.
So we kind of wanted to just like create a post every Monday where everybody can in the comments put something that they're selling that's related to their artistic IP. So if you have your stickers that you would normally sell at the events, or whatever it is, whatever merchandise related to your IP. What was holding us up was that I thought I was brainstorming with Chevy. How would people get this stuff to somebody? Because if 10 people say, "Hey, I want this sticker from Gashwain for Spectacular Specs," how is he going to get it to 10 different people? That's a lot of money to be traveling to them or whatever. And we were saying, oh, the post offices have this service where basically you put your stamp on an envelope and hand it to the postman, and he'd carry it back to the post office for you.
Mm-hmm.
Only to find out that they no longer have that service. So it's like, what's the next best thing? Because we don't exactly have, Jamaica doesn't exactly have that kind of system where you put something online, somebody purchase it, and it gets delivered to their door.
Yeah.
So
Any delivery that happens, it has to be done on the part of the person making the stuff.
right. And
So
I was, but
I
we'll figure it out. What's
Yeah,
that?
I did think about that because a big part of Dream Just was that you'd be able to find merch right there
Mm,
in front of you. But I think well I think, as if I'm not the one planning this. What we've done what we've done is that we just switched focus to digital merchandise. So
mhm.
basically, you've just got to evolve or die, basically.
Yeah,
So
pretty much.
no physical merch right now because we don't have the culture to
Mm,
buy physical merch online. Not quite so much right now, but
right.
digital merch. We're trying to ease ourselves into it.
Yeah. I mean, we even explored the whole thing of like, a courier, but then I was just like, these bike men charge so much money to go deliver two sticker. It don't make no sense.
Yeah, and
Don't
like
make
nobody wants to go to Portmore. Nobody wants to go to like how are you going to
no.
deliver something to Mandeville, Clarendon, like St. Thomas?
Exactly. Which is why, like, at the time, the post was brilliant. We're like, oh, yeah, this is a great idea. Yeah, it might take them a few days to get it, but they will get it. And yeah. And then when the post office is like, no, we don't offer that service anymore, I was like, well, there goes that. There goes that. But hey. Anyway, take up too much of your time now. It's now 10:41.
Yeah, have work. I've got to go.
Yeah, exactly. But no, it was a good conversation again.
Yeah,
Really, really enjoyed it. I'm planning to put it out. I'm putting out Wayne's own on Friday, so I'll probably put this one out the following Friday.
okay.
Um, yeah, I'm just trying to interview as I can while I have free time.
Mm-hmm.
All right, take care.
Bye bye. Have a good night.
Bye bye. You too. Where is